let's go quickly from here. What brings you here? Why is Hyundai here?
So I believe we are in the field of alternative drivetrains ahead. Ahead, not in comparison, for example, to Audi, to be very honest, but we believe in sustainable mobility, and we invested a lot during the last period, especially with hydrogen technology, and that's why we are here, and we are very happy to distribute our messages to our customers and prospects.
Wonderful. Henrik, same question for you.
Yeah, first of all, I'm here personally because I consider myself as a progressive mind and a very future-oriented soul. This is why I personally appreciate being here myself. Then Audi is appreciating being here because at Audi we are living progress. We are celebrating change. And we do this based on a very clear goal to decarbonize the entire industry. Right? So we are talking about automotive industry here. So we are talking about a deeply industrialized industry. Audi is 110 years old. So after 110 years, we want to decarbonize ourselves just within 30 years. This affects the...
That's a big challenge.
Big challenge, but we are going to make it because we have a very clear plan. It affects not only our product lineup with regards to electrification, it affects the entire company, so from supply chain, production, usage, recycling, future business models like second life use cases. So we look at it as a whole, and this brings us here to share our investments and our ideas with like-minded people. And this is also why Audi became a founding partner of the GreenTech Festival, because this is a platform to meet those like-minded people, which are able to share with us their ideas, their opinions. And this is based on our strong belief in partnerships, right? So this is why we are here together, as we believe in partnerships, because as more we are, the greater the impact will be. And so this is why I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Nikolaus, you have a very unique position. BCG has a vast access to data that a lot of companies will be envious for. You have also your senior partner as BCG, but you're running something very interesting, at least for me. It's a mobility center for mobility innovation. Can you give us a little snippet of what's that?
Well, I think if you look today at man-made mobility per day, per year generates 6 billion tons of greenhouse gases.
Wow.
In Germany alone, it's 160 million. And we all know that we need to change. We need to change the way how that mobility is done. And I think we believe that by evolving the mobility mix to a more sustainable mix, you can change massively the cities of the future. Yeah, you can reduce parking space. You can reduce CO2 emissions. You can reduce cost. You can reduce fatalities. So when we work with our clients, it's really around making this mobility in cities and beyond cities more sustainable.
So guys, all three of you know, we know, everyone knows, it's time to get done. It's action time. We don't talk anymore, we do action. That's why we're here. We're privileged to be in the city. Not everyone is in Europe. CO2 emissions are really heavy. We have a lot of things going on. There's a lot of links going on. I want to know what Hyundai is doing right now to fight against the global warming. And I want to hear from Audi's perspective what you think you guys should do together as well.
Yeah, I believe everything starts with production development. I think you might talk a little bit more about this, but I'd like to talk about products, but not necessarily about cars, passenger cars. You see some here. It's even a lot of cars I watched here. Unbelievable how GreenTech develops. But I'm not talking about passenger cars. I want to talk about other industries. Hyundai is helping other industries as well, other segments. For example, heavy-duty segments. What does it mean? For example, trucks or maritime sector or production for energy for households, especially with our hydrogen development. And I can give you an example from Switzerland. From 2020 or until 2025, we produce around 1,600 fuel cell trucks, zero-emission trucks, to support retailers there, like Coop or Migros, you might have heard, to help them to get rid of their CO2 footprint.
Was that hard? Was that hard to do that?
No, it wasn't hard because the idea of having fuel cell implemented into trucks is quite near. Yeah, it's even easier than to put it into a passenger car.
Okay.
And but we convinced them, and in a cooperation, sorry, in a cooperation like Henrik said before, it worked quite well. And if you then see that a fuel cell truck, for example, has around 65 tons per year less CO2 or zero emission in comparison to a top-of-the-notch diesel engine, I think it's more than worth it. And that's why, beside this, we are always also investing a lot into startups who really take care about sustainable energy production. And yeah, at the end of the day, Hyundai as well would like to produce a lot of fuel cells in the upcoming years, around 700,000, that's our task, per year from 2030 onwards. A lot of investment, that's true, around 7 billion we have to invest.
Oh.
And another 40, 50 billion for until 2025 for clean energy, clean mobility. So together, I think we have the same task anyhow. We already talked behind the stage about it. Together as an industry, first of all, we have the duty, and secondly, we are on the way.
Do you really feel there's a duty? Like
Absolutely.
as Andreas and you as Hyundai, you're like, there is a duty?
Yeah, since several years. So that's, to be honest, not anything new for us. So we are developing, and we have heavily invested during the last years, and especially hydrogen is, I think, beside other e-mobility, it's e-mobility as well. Yeah. But the source of hydrogen, I think, is a very, very prosperous and future-oriented thing to do.
Henrik, Audi, at least from my knowledge, doesn't do hydrogen, right?
Of course, we have to get used to all technologies, right? So you need to be able to deal with hydrogen, with electrification, and all sorts of technology. I think you have to be as open-minded with regards to technology as possible, as you have heard in Joschka Fischer. So the human mankind is highly dependent on technology to solve this gigantic challenge we are facing all together. So this is why we have to be as open-minded as possible, but at the same time, we have to speed up, right? So, and with regards to electrification, it's available, it's everywhere, and with regards to range anxiety and infrastructure, I can, as an authentic EV driver, tell every one of you, get rid of it, right? So now you have the range, so it's not compared to the range 10 years ago. Now you have the charging infrastructure. Just with the Audi card, I have 155,000 charging points in 25 countries in Europe. Hello, right? So get rid of the range anxiety and get used to it and flip the switch. I think we as a society, we should be a bit more open-minded. In America, they drove the hybrids 20 years already. Right? In China, they're leapfrogging technology. I think we Europeans, especially, we should be a bit more open-minded and take it a bit more easy to be open to change and to new technologies.
Stubborn? Why are we so stubborn in Europe? Why are we? I'm telling my mom to buy an electric car. She lives in London. She's like, no. It's. Why are we like this in Europe?
I think it's not stubbornness because I'm a German, so I know the German character quite well, and we usually try to find the mistake. Why is something not working? Where's the problem? I need to find the problem instead of seeing the solution. Yeah, right. And you just mentioned a burden, right, or the challenge, right? So let's face it as an opportunity, right? So let's leverage our technological competence to create change and to create a better future. We have the know-how, and we do have the solutions. And so, for me, there's no excuse, and we are doing it, right? So you ask, what are we doing now, right? So show me the proof. So what are we doing at Audi? So we are looking at the supply chain because we are building 1.8 million premium products every single year. So you can imagine how big is our impact on supplying industry looking like. Yeah. If we change our purchase behavior, it has a gigantic impact. So this is the reason why we started holding CO2 workshops with our suppliers and recommending on how to change, how to decarbonize the supply chain. Then on our side, production. So how can we change our production facilities? We changed this in Brussels already with the start of the electric car, the e-tron. And because to build an electric vehicle, you require even more energy. So this is why we focused on those production sites where we produce the electric vehicles first. So, and the first one is Audi Brussels, where we are entirely carbon neutral already. Next one is Hungary. We just installed the largest rooftop photovoltaic facility. It's 160,000 square meters, 36,400 panels producing 12 megawatt per hour peak. So I think this is mega, and we're doing this now. So this is the next plant, which is carbon neutral, and by 2025, so within 5 years, all Audi plants will be carbon neutral. So that's what we are doing now, including the electrification of the product lineups, so that all of you guys can flip the switch, right? So that you can drive electric and join me in driving with a CO2-free emission experience.
Nikolaus, we're hearing two giants here talking about the manufacturing process, how they're moving into CO2-free emissions. From BCG's point of view, what do you think the industry manufacturing looks like in the future?
Yeah. Well, I think what we heard, and I just mentioned at the beginning the 160 million tons greenhouse gases we produce here in Germany every year. I think there are ways to reduce them, and actually I want to mention 5 which we see. One is, Andreas, you mentioned it, is really new vehicles. It's battery electric vehicle, hydrogen, fuel cell. The second one is actually changing the operations footprint, what you just mentioned. I think it's extremely important that we see in the supply chain, in the manufacturing, the reduction of CO2. But there are 3 others I would like to mention, and which are extremely important as prerequisites. First, charging infrastructure. We need faster charging, more dispersed charging, but we also need hydrogen fuel stations. We need overland lines for trucks. So that's an important part. The fourth one, which sometimes sounds a little bit boring, is the reinvention of public transport. We have to move away from rail and bus only. I'm deeply convinced that the unlock of public transport will be 18 to 15-seater robo-shuttles in 10 to 15 years from now. We have done simulations in 50 cities of the world. If you want to decongest cities, and if you still want to have a carbon neutral development, you need to have electric autonomous robo-shuttles. That's the fourth one.
But hold on, Nikolaus, doesn't that also add to the traffic? Because it doesn't really remove the cars, right, or the buses. It just brings another bus.
Yeah, the point today is that if you take the 12 to 18 meter buses we are currently using, these buses are being used at full capacity for 1 hour a day, and for the rest, they're being used at 23% capacity. So actually, if I take off these large buses from the road, I reduce traffic. The same applies if I have a shuttle that picks me up from home. I will not take potentially a taxi where I will be sitting alone. So shuttles will be a solution. And let me just ask the 5th point, and then I'll shut up, which is on traffic management. I don't know if you know, but if you take large cities in the world, 8 to 24% of traffic is searching for a parking spot.
That's true.
So if you were to do smart parking, if you were via a connected car or via any device, if you were able to tell to the driver, hey, there is your parking spot, you can reserve it, you can prepay it, you get off 2/3 of that volume. That's 15% of traffic, which you can remove from the cities. So from our perspective, it's vehicle, it's production, it's charging infrastructure, it's public transport, and it's intelligent traffic management.
We don't have that much time, but I'm so curious about, I'm really curious about how Hyundai is doing the charging points of the fueling sessions of hydrogen. Are there more of them coming up? Or
yeah, absolutely. So we are in cooperation, for example, with Ionity or EnBW, and we will launch very soon our European charging system, Charge by Hyundai. So we will have a lot of spots, especially fast charging, I think. And we didn't talk about the customer at this stage, but the customers are adapting very quickly on the one side. On the other side, they are telling us exactly what they want to have. Fast charging, range, like you said before. And of course, with a fast charging network we are building up, together with cooperation partners, we will be able to supply. And we just have the next 800-volt fast charging car in front of us, and you can see it downstairs. Pre-sales will start soon.
Nice. I want to hear from you guys quickly before we end up here. 3 points do you want to get across? Henrik, you definitely have something that you want to say from Audi, like 3 points that Audi is doing right now and what it means for the customers. Is there something you want to get across?
Yeah, because as said, we tend to discuss what is being needed and what is to be developed. And actually, I appreciated the question to Joschka Fischer when the lady asked him, what can we do right now? So from my perspective, when I observed the availabilities of products, range, technologies, experiences, yes, it would be nice to have 150 kilowatt charging points all over the place. But don't tell me that your range and mobility need is looking like that way, because when I look at the numbers, the mobility need is looking completely different. So therefore, I would like to invite every viewer, every guest, every like-minded soul here today to think if it's true that the technology and technological answer is not available, or if it's not maybe the interest which is missing. And I think we, as a human mankind, we need to be much more interested in order to change. And as you say here, to celebrate change, to see it as an opportunity and to feel good about it. And therefore, I would like to invite everyone to join us, to celebrate change, and to enjoy these new opportunities, because we talked about it, the experience to drive electric, the silent drive, the acceleration, and this with a good feel. And that's something I would like to share with all of you, and this is the reason why I look forward to being here next year again, and hopefully to see many more EV drivers on the road and joining us with regards to a CO2-free emission ride.
I'm sure, Nikolaus, you probably have the best data available here. Do you think that the trend towards changing now to electric cars is on the right path?
Well, yeah, I think there is no other path. I think we need to accelerate it. We need to be open with regard to the technological opportunities we have. I think BEV is one option. Hydrogen is another one. And I think what is really, really important, and that's my key conviction, is we need to have even more cooperation between car manufacturers, mobility providers, utilities, cities. We won't solve this alone. It has to be a joint effort.
Wonderful. And Andreas, the last points you want to get across?
I think everything said. The products are there. I think the public just has to be a little bit more brave to do it like we did. And I'm looking forward to have a follow-up discussion maybe next year, how things have been involved.
But it's a good time. I mean, we're doing a good process. We are not so desperate right now. I mean, the world is a beautiful place. We have innovators on stage, off the stage. It's a good life. Let's enjoy. Let's drive good cars. Let's get the data out there. And let's give them a big applause for coming all the way here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Please, from there. Thank you.